It's been so long. I feel like I haven't seen a whole bunch of people, and everyone just keeps popping in and out of here like a revolving door. And I'm just the only constant. I'm just kidding. I do this for the art and the content mostly. But hi, all you VC WrestlePod nerds out there, and welcome to another rendition of the Takedown Troop Review, your weekly TNA Wrestling review. I am your host, or one of the hosts, Mikey, also known as El Jefe around the BC WrestlePod parts. I am the face that 50% runs the place. The other 50% come from my other co-hosts who help me do this shenanigans and tomfoolery that we do every single week here. And joining me tonight to help me review the April 25th edition of TNA Wrestling, he is back from the thralls of the backstages and the theater. But Papa Oso has finally returned to us. Will, I've missed you. I really have. Me and Andrew have both missed you.
I've missed you guys too. I really
Yeah,
have.
it is. Unfortunately, though, as Will tagged in, Andrew had to tag out.
Yeah, he's
as,
in tech. I'm beyond that.
Yeah, he's in tech. So he's currently catching up with everything. And he's been texting me throughout the day. So, Andrew, we miss you. We love you. And at least you'll be back for next week's TNA. Oh, this is the first time for Will. So Andrew is unavailable for our NXT review. So Andrew's tagging out, and you're tagging in to help cover week 2 of Spring Breaking with me for NXT.
Okay.
We got a lot to do. We're gonna save that because we also got a lot because a draft happened on WWE, and some of our NXT kids got the main roster call up.
I saw that.
I'm super excited to talk about that. But that's for next week. We're here to cover TNA, which is the first episode post Rebellion, because Rebellion was only a couple days ago. And this is we got 2 weeks until Under Siege. So it's one of those quick turnaround pay-per-views. I'm like dreading it because I'm like, it's so quick. But, there was a lot of fun stuff that happened this episode. And this is going to be a lot of explaining for Will because there are 2 characters that have returned. Well, 3 characters that have returned to TNA. And I get the lovely privilege to fill in Will of who these people are. Becoming one of my favorite things to do for any of these podcasts, to fill in the people. Be like, so who's this? Okay, let me tell you things. So let's just start this off. TNA this week kicks off with Nick Nemeth in the ring, cutting a promo. The content of said promo is basically kind of the typical thing we see from a face who loses a championship match at the pay-per-view. So Nick is disheartened that he didn't walk out and keep his promise of being able to become the TNA champion. So he's thinking about, having to earn his way back, watch some tape back, and try to get his way back to the, championship title picture. And then, of course, Nick Nemeth is cut off by the laughter of one of my favorite characters in wrestling of all time, Broken Matt Hardy, as we hear the yes. So, this is the first new character I gotta fill in Will in. Okay, so this is what you know. So, Will, as being someone who has watched wrestling back in the day, I think you're familiar with Matt Hardy as the name and the Hardy brothers. Okay, so that I don't need to. No. So Broken Matt Hardy is a character that was created underneath the Impact banner years ago. Him and his brother decided to do these alternate versions of these characters. So Broken Matt Hardy is basically like this. How do I put this in like nice terms? It's like what happens when you have like a hobo and they are like the seer kind of archetype too. Because Broken Matt Hardy has a whole entire cinematic universe. He has his own special match called the Final Deletion Matches, which is like a pre-taped, like nonsensical things. There's like drones involved, like people fly off ladders. It's really weird and bizarre. It's like very Clockwork Orange.
I'm here for it.
Kind of stuff. But Broken Matt Hardy comes out and he shows us the B-roll showing that Nick Nemeth's shoulder was off of the, mat when Moose pinned him for the win. So now Nick has an actual claim to get a rematch because he technically didn't lose. Which then prompts the entirety of the system to come out and basically run down Nick Nemeth, calling him a loser, calling him all sorts of things. And so Nick's like, you know what? We're going to put your money where your mouth is. So Eddie Edwards, fight me in a match tonight, because Eddie was the one who was running his mouth the most during this promo. And so this sets up our main event later in the evening where we're going to get Nick versus Eddie in our main event. Will, this was a lot to start with because we had 3 separate promos all coagulate into one. So first, what did you think of the actual 3-part promo? And, as a first introduction to Broken Matt Hardy, how do you feel that? How do you like his character or dislike?
Okay, well, I don't dislike him, but again, I'm just now being introduced to him, so yeah, I'm going to give him a chance. I need to see him in a couple more matches before I solidify my opinion on him. What I saw, I was like, okay, he's kind of cool. The promo was okay. It was good. It wasn't bad. The thing about Nick is that I think he's pretty good on the mic. I don't have a problem with him when he talks. He's articulate. Yeah, but yeah, I thought it was a weird way to open the night. With a promo, and I was like, okay. Okay. Like I said, it wasn't bad. I just was like, can we open it with a match? Or something. I thought that the episode started kind of like, right here, and which was okay. And then the system, when they come out, I'm really starting to dislike the system, which is great. Because that's what they're there for. But I was just like, at first I was like, oh, I kind of like you guys. Now I'm just sort of like, oh God, it's just like a McDonald's fry box full of arrogance, and it's just greasy and not good for you, but you can't help but eat them all. So I don't know. It's so funny. And I'm gonna cross the companies here real quick, but it makes me feel just like the family over at NXT. It's kind of like, okay, cool. I don't like you. All right, you win. It's like, I don't like you. But yeah, it wasn't bad. Like I said, I thought it was a weird way to start the night, but especially considering it was so long. Maybe if it was like, I don't know, condensed down or something. I don't know. I felt that it went too long, I think. Like I said again, I love listening to Nick speak. He's articulate and clear, unlike others. But it was just, I don't know, it was just weird to me. I just thought it was too long. That's the way it is. It was too long. If it had been half the length that it was, I think it would have gotten its point across. So that was my take on it.
That is very, very fair. And, it's going to be a kind of running theme the rest of this episode, too, because we only have 2 weeks to build to Under Siege.
Right.
Which we have talked about on numerous occasions, how you don't necessarily sometimes like the quick builds to the TNA pay-per-views, but you know what? We're going to get there. So this definitely sets up what happens in the main event, and then in tandem with the main event, things happen. So we continue this quick build because backstage we are joined with Santino, who is with Mustafa Ali and the Good Hands with this ballot box. And so everyone's putting in votes on who should be Ali's next opponent. Obviously, for those of you who are tuning into TNA, obviously Ali was able to retain his championship against Jake something, though Ali cheated to win, so there is credence for Jake to get a rematch down the line, because he's going to be busy with other things for Under Siege. And so Jordan Grace comes in and she wants to talk to Santino for a little bit, which then plays into her backstage segment afterwards, where Jordan says that she's going to be defending, she's going to have a match with Miyu Yamashita next week. And after talking with Santino, it's going to be for the Knockouts World Championship. And then we get a run-in from Miyu, who tells her that she's going to take Jordan's title. I'm excited. This is going to be fantastic. I love it. It's going to be a good time for sure. I'm excited to see Jordan versus Miyu. It's going to be great. So I kind of combined both of those things because they played off each other. But Will, first, how do we feel about the introduction to our ballot box, which we were going to be seeing a lot of throughout the whole entire evening? And then,
go ahead.
Championship match next week.
Well, I think the ballot box is kind of fun. That was kind of a fun little backstage segment. And then, of course, Jordan Grace coming in. I'll watch her no matter who she fights. So, she could fight a scarecrow and I would watch it. So, and I'm excited about who she's fighting. And I don't want to butcher the name.
I got you. So, I'm excited because it's Miyu Yamashita.
That's it. Miyu Yamashita. Miyu. Miyu Yamashita. That's who. Yeah. I'm always excited for like that sort of thing, bringing in multicultural, type of stuff. And of course, I love Jordan Grace. But yeah, this whole Santino ballot box thing is hilarious.
Santino is just so good at his job, and I'm so happy that TNA has him as a deputy of authority because
I
he
agree.
makes it so much fun.
It does.
So we leave this backstage interview and Mew and Jordan kind of facing off against each other to our next match. Well, our first match of the whole evening, actually. Even though it was a little bit of a short one, we saw the return. Well, he returned at Rebellion, but this was Mike Santana versus also returning Myron Reed of the Rascals. We got two returns here. I am unapologetically brown, so I am always going to be hooping and hollering for my Mexican talent, my Puerto Rican talent, my brown talent in general. But I'm so happy to see my fellow Puerto Rican Mike Santana back in TNA because it just warms my little heart. And I am super excited of all the matches he's going to have in TNA. And I'm also excited for Myron Reed to be back now that we have, 3 out of the 4 Rascals are now all in TNA officially. So, of course, the 4th one is currently in NXT. So, Wesley, hey. But I thought this match was a lot of fun. I do wish it went a little bit longer, but I understood that whereas Rebellion was the reintroduction of Mike Santana, this is helping get Mike Santana some wins for whatever plans that TNA has decided for him now that he is signed back to TNA. So, so before I get Will's opinion, Will, let me fill you in on Mike Santana a little bit.
Okay.
This is the second character you got your introduction to tonight as well. So Mike Santana actually is a TNA original. Back in the day, he was paired with his tag team partner, though they're no longer a tag team because they broke up. It was kind of messy to watch on the internet the last year and a half or so. But Mike Santana and his tag team partner at the time, Ortiz, were part of a little faction called LAX. So this was ran by, it was Mike Santana, Ortiz, and they also had a valet at the time who also wrestled too, who is known, and funny fact indeed, that Zelina Vega of WWE was in this little faction with them for a while. And this was led by those three, as long with a wrestler by the name of Homicide. So, as you could tell with the tag team name and the faction name of LAX, it's exactly what you thought. They rolled up in like the checkered pattern, like homeboy and khaki shorts and everything. They were almost on the verge of being a stereotype of like Latino gangsters, but it didn't. Funny enough, in the early 2000s, they didn't cross that line. But man, they had some banging classics as tag team against like the likes of Christopher Daniels and AJ Styles. They had a program with Motor City Machine Guns at one point. So Mike Santana has mostly been a tag team wrestler, and it's only been in the last 2 or 3 years that now that he's in a singles position. And man, I'm happy to see Mike Santana. But that is your reintroduction to Mike Santana. And Myron Reed, we've only seen him like once or twice, so you're a little bit more familiar with him, but it seems that Myron is back for a long haul this time. So now that I give him the information, let's talk about the match itself. Again, Mike Santana picks up the win here, and I feel that this was to showcase Myron, but really this was also to remind people that, hey, we signed Mike Santana. Let's give him some wins. So before we move on to what happened afterwards, because it was poetic justice of what happened afterwards, Will, how do we feel about Santana and Myron in this match?
Well, I liked the match. I agree with you. I think it was too short. Even as an introduction match, because I kind of figured that's what it was. Because again, I don't know much about Mike Santana, but I had heard that he was signing, so I'm assuming that he was here. So I was like, okay, but I thought it would have gone a little bit longer. I thought they would have showcased him a little bit more, because I don't really think that, not that he wasn't, but I just don't feel like, and this is just, like someone who is being introduced to someone for the first time and they do something so fast and I can't get I can't get my arms around it, because it was too short. I was just like, oh, I really wanted to see what he's capable of. But the match itself was pretty good. And of course, being brown adjacent, I tend to like the brown boys myself. So Yeah, anytime that you bring on one of the Puerto Ricans, the Mexicans, the Latin Americans, it's like any of the brown skinned boys, I'm here for it. And that's just me.
We have missed you. We have missed you for sure.
No. So yeah,
All
I
right.
thought it was a good match.
Yeah. So that was the match itself. Now let's talk about what happened afterwards. Because as Mike Santana is celebrating the ring for his win, Steve Macklin's music hits and he comes out. And Macklin still has beef with Santana from what happened at Rebellion because Macklin announced that he re-signed at Rebellion. And then Santino said that their newest signee wants a match with him, and that turned out to be Mike Santana. So Steve Macklin has beef with Mike Santana because Mike Santana beat him at Rebellion. And so this part I thought it was hilarious given the continuity of the storytelling we've been having in this whole thing. Macklin has the Rascals surround the ring with him, thinking that the Rascals were going to help do a 4-on-1 jump on Mike Santana. And as Macklin gets into the ring, the Rascals jump off the ring and just like leave because they're like, yeah, no, we're not helping you, bro. Like, you thought we were really going to help you? Nah, after what you did to us, nah, we're good. I'm like, poetic justice. Karma is going to get you.
Yep.
And so Macklin realizes now as a one-on-one, he rushes in to try to attack Santana. It doesn't work out the way he wants, and Macklin retreats as this little section of our programming comes to an end with Macklin looking at Santana in the ring and beginning to retreat.
That was really funny, though. He's like, come on, guys, come on.
Rascals are like, yeah, no, we're good. It's like, I was like, did you forget what happened? I was like, did we read the same book? Like, no. But it does make me excited that it seems that Mike Santana's first big feud is with Steve Macklin, which then leads us to the little graphic. It was announced at Rebellion, but on the show, we got reminded that Steve Macklin has re-signed with TNA, which makes me super happy. Because I was wondering if he was going to stick around since his wife, Deonna Purrazzo, went to other, pastures in AEW. But it seems that he's going to stick around in TNA for a little bit longer, which makes me really happy. Speaking of things that make me really happy, we go backstage really quickly, and we see Steph DeLander and Khan both cutting this promo together. Mostly it was Steph doing all the talking, and then Khan added his bit at the very end. But Steph talks about how what happened at Rebellion in Vegas was ridiculous. It wasn't cool. And Steph is like, Jordan, you knew you couldn't win on a fair match. And then I'm like, but you had the good hands on Rebellion. But I was laughing so hard. I was like, oh, Steph, I love this type of heel where she's like, you couldn't beat me one-on-one and it wasn't fair. I'm like, you had a 3-on-1 assault with the good hands of Khan looking to take out Jordan in the middle of the match. Like, what? But which I thought was funny. But it's got me excited because Steph says, why don't you bring your little boyfriend, PCO, and you can take us on at Under Siege? And I immediately popped. I'm like, oh my gosh, Jordan and PCO versus Steph and Khan. Give it to me now. And we get the confirmation later in the evening.
Yes.
But then Khan finishes the promo saying that he's going to finish what he started with PCO and he's going to be breaking necks. And that's how that little segment goes off. So, this is technically the first match of the night that we get told this is the first match that's happening at Under Siege. We have a mixed tag team match between PCO and Jordan versus Steph and Khan. So, how do we feel about the promo itself? And how do we feel about the match happening at Under Siege?
I thought the promo was pretty good. I thought it was clear and straight to the point, and I think that gets me super excited about Jordan Grace and PCO teaming up. That is like the most random ass pairing, and I think it's going to be glorious. It's going to be glorious. I don't think Steph and Khan knows what they've gotten themselves into. So I'm super excited.
As am I. I am super excited. I think this is going to be a fantastic match. And we'll talk more in depth about it when we get to the bumpers because we pretty much get like almost half the card already for Under Siege. So we lead into... This was a weird segment. We lead into our in-ring promo from the walking weapon himself, Josh Alexander.
This was odd.
And he talks about, this was a very long sequence of events because it goes
Mhm.
from a promo to a whole entire match that went through picture in picture for me while I was watching it live.
Uh-huh.
It was crazy. But Josh Alexander is in the ring and he kind of recaps, coming out of his match against Hammerstone at Rebellion as the winner and the ultimate winner of their feud. By the way, if anyone has yet to watch Rebellion, me and Andrew, who watched it live, highly recommend watching the Last Man Standing match because that was brutal as hell. And it was nuts to watch. If you thought that Alex Shelley versus Josh Alexander was a slow, methodical take on how to kill each other in a championship match, Josh and Hammerstone took it to the next level. It was kind of nutty.
Ooh.
But Josh talks about now that he's put Hammerstone behind him for now, he wants to continue to fight and he wants to get back to, the main championship that Moose has. Which then prompts so I guess he calls himself the king of TNA, Frankie Kazarian, to come out.
Boo.
And and he says that he has claim to the TNA championship. And so Josh says, "All right, well, see, we have a problem here, so let's settle it the way we do here in TNA. Let's have a number one contenders match right here now to figure out who's going to go after Moose down the line." Frankie's like, I would, but I'm still sore. I'm still hurting from my Full Metal Mayhem match at Rebellion. So basically, he's gonna fight Josh on his own terms. So what I was thinking was gonna be the end of it. Frankie's walking out of the ring, and then out comes the ref who tells Frankie that be like, yeah, you need to kind of get in the ring now. And then we get the announcement that Josh versus Frankie is happening right now.
Yep.
Well, for both Josh and Frankie, like they just fought in their regular clothes, like,
yeah,
which was very weird to watch. So then we no break. It's like, oh, we're gonna get this match later in the evening. No, we're just gonna do this right now. So this promo leads into a match: Josh Alexander versus Frankie Kazarian. This went for quite some time too, and so this was a match. They were tearing each other apart. They were wrestling. Then we get to the ending sequence where Eric Young comes out with bandages wrapped around his head. Because, fun fact, we got confirmation on social media that when Eric Young and Frankie Kazarian went through that table at the ending spot of the Full Metal Mayhem match, Eric Young's ear hit the edge of the table because they didn't clear it all the way, which actually ripped part of his ear off, and that's what was bleeding the whole entire thing.
Oh,
so he
God.
had to have that he had to have it surgically reattached.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so just not to put Will on blast, but Will is not the biggest fan of like super over the top bloodiness. And when we say that Eric Young's ear was gushing when he landed through the table, it was gushing, and me and Andrew actually had to like look away for a little bit because it was just spurting all over the place.
Oh God. Nope.
Because the match, it was nuts. But Eric Young comes out because Frankie Kazarian is trying to be a heel and cheat to win. And then
of course,
Frankie is the heel because then he gets Eric Young thrown out. But it distracts him long enough for Josh to get a leg lock, full power sit down. So like he's sitting on the ground when he's doing this. Frankie has nowhere to go, which then makes him tap. And Josh wins this match over Frankie while also continuing this feud with Frankie and Eric once soon as medically cleared. All right, Will, this was a lot, but let's break this down. So, promo and then leading into the match. How did you feel about the two parts of this very, very long segment?
Well, you know me and like long blocks of conversation. I was like, okay, Josh is talking. Okay. I like Josh, and he talks well and he speaks nice, and he can cut a promo pretty well. But then Kazarian came in and I kind of lost interest. I don't know what it is about Kazarian right now that I'm just sort of like, no, I don't really care what's going on with you. I don't know if I'm still kind of reeling from that horrible arc they did way back with him and Eddie, or I don't know, but there's something. I think it's because his heel turn was so quick and sudden. I don't know. I just didn't, because he was, I don't know. I didn't get a chance to go there with him type of stuff, I guess. I don't know. All I know is I was enjoying it until Kazarian started talking, and then I was like, can we just fight, please? was like, shut up and fight. Let's shut up and fight. See, that's what I think. Yeah, here's my thing. It's wrestling, folks. You solve things by fighting each other in the ring, not talking to each other. It's like, you got to beef with somebody, then fight them. It's like, please. Because I just thought, again, too much talking. And I know they're getting ready for the next one. I know they are, but it's just, can we fight and get ready for it? Because, I mean, like I said, I love Josh, and I was just like, okay, just fight, please. Stop talking. I thought it went on way too long again. And I don't know if these, like, I mean, I guess that's what it is. I guess it's because we're getting so close to the next one that they're just filling it, because to me it felt like there was like twice as much talking than there was fighting, like that's how it felt. Because I mean, the match prior was really short, comparatively, and then we started out the thing with talking. So I don't know. I didn't, again, talk too damn long. Can we just get to the fight? Can we just get to the fight? Cut to the fight. Cut off all that fat. Get to the fight. That's it.
Yeah, because I feel like this was very overbloated and we didn't need it.
Yeah, it was way.
So,
I don't know what it was.
Yes, but what I did appreciate is Josh picked up another win, so
Yes.
It's getting him closer to the inevitable rematch between him and Moose whenever we have it this year.
Yeah.
Then we also get Eric Young and Frankie continuing their feud. So we're going from one feud that's continuing to one that is brand new, kind of starting, because we head backstage once again to the ballot box, and this time we see Jake Something and Hammerstone kind of put their ballots into the box. And then the boys start arguing and fighting, and I'm just looking at all this beef on my screen, and I'm just like, Santino, just give me what I want. Just say the magic words. Do it right now. And sure enough, Santino made it official for Under Siege. It's going to be Hammerstone versus Jake Something. And this is a lot of beef in this ring.
Yes.
I'm like,
I'm excited.
Oh, someone's gonna die, but it makes me super excited. So
go.
The other thing I really enjoyed too, I don't know if you watched in the background, but as these two were arguing and fighting and Santino was trying to control them, we saw the Rascals come in and put like 40,000 ballots in the box, which was so funny to watch. Like Zachary Wentz and Trey Miguel, just like while the fighting's going on in the background, you just see them put a whole bunch of ballots in the box.
Putting shit in the box, I know. I was like, of course they are. It's like, of course they are. So funny.
So, Will, Beefy Boys fighting. What do we think?
Oh, I love it. You know me. You know I love my Beefy Boys, especially Jake Something. Sorry, I had to imagine that for a moment. Hammerstone, he's such a rude bitch. I mean, because he just came barging in there. Nobody asked him. He just barged his way in there and started crap. And it's like, dude, everyone was chill until you brought your big old butt in there. And it's just like, and then there was like, oh, here we go. And I was kind of like, please fight, please fight, please fight, please fight. And yay, they did. And I was like, yay. Because I love the Beefy Boys when they fight.
Yes, that is very fair. I'm excited for this match at Under Siege. It's gonna be good.
I think so. It'll be good. It'll be nice to watch anyway.
Yeah. Ooh, I mean, you're not wrong.
Nope.
Somebody get the water for Will.
Seriously, give me the vapors. Give me the vapors.
I have missed you so much. It is so funny. So we go from this backstage thing to on the ramp because we have First Class come out. So AJ Francis and Rich Swann come out. Let's be real. This was all just the setup for the teleportation powers that is Joe Hendry. Because Gio Miller says the magical words and Joe Hendry's music plays. And then Joe Hendry just magically appears next to Like, this man is a wizard, Harry.
I know. So funny. I love him. I need him to start winning some things, though. I need to stop making him the butt of everybody's stuff.
I think he's going to be due for a win because, Joe Hendry gets them on the mic and he talks about how he's going to have an apology concert next week, a la the Rock concert from The Rock back in the day. And most recently, too, before WrestleMania was also a thing. He's going to be slinging jokes left and right at Rich Swann and AJ Francis's expense, and I'm kind of here for it.
I'm ready for the day where Joe Hendry kicks all of their asses.
Oh, that day's coming soon, I think.
It needs to.
If not at Under Siege, I think Joe Hendry gets his big moment at Slammiversary, which Will wasn't here for this, but Slammiversary got announced for July, so Lord have mercy, our work is never done, Will. So the
Yeah, that's
summer's
just
stacked. We have Under Siege in May, we have Against All Odds in June, and Slammiversary for July as our
good
summer's
God.
roadmap.
Good Lord. Why are they piling them up so like close to each other? Man.
That's oof. And that's not look. June's gonna be busy for us because not for you, but for me, because Clash at the Castle is the following day after Against All Odds in June. And then on top of that too, we got announced that our next NXT one is Battleground in Las Vegas, so that one's wild. But that's for a different show. So the concert from Joe Hendry, I'm excited for it next week.
Me too.
So now we get into at this point of the night, this is our only women's match that we have on this card. But this is Ash by Elegance versus Zaya Brookside. First and foremost, Ash by Elegance looks great in that ring gear. Like, I love the black. I love like garters like to the legs and everything. I'm just like, I'm kind of here
Mhm.
for this.
Yep.
And she definitely listened to this podcast because we commented on how frumpy some of her wrestling gear has looked. And she's like, all right, the BC WrestlePod Boys says it looks like I'm wearing a diaper. Let's go black and sexy. And that's exactly what
There
she
you
did.
go, girl.
Ash,
There you go.
just know that the BC WrestlePod Boys, but specifically the Takedown Troop, the three of us love you so much.
Yep.
And we love this character you got going on. The ring gear is great. And then Zaya Brookside comes out, and I love that commentary told me, I was like, this reminds me, as her theme song was playing for Zaya, I was like, why does this sound a little bit familiar? And then we were told that this was a song exclusively for Zaya that was made by Simple Plan, We the Kings, and All Time Low, which are like the trifecta of pop punk from the mid 2010s and 2000s. And I was just like, ugh, middle school me is in love with this song. And to be fair, right now me is in love with this song.
That's fair.
But I thought this was a really fun match. And I love the fact that as we got to the end, Ash tried to kind of finagle a win by cheating, and Zaya rolled her up for the win and to kind of get her win back by doing the same thing. So now we're 1-1, so we're gonna have a blow-off match. But I thought this was a fun match.
It was.
I was happy that this was given time, which is nice.
Yeah.
Compared to how short some of our women's matches were on another show this week on NXT. But I thought this was a really fun match. Will, how did you feel about Ash versus Zaya?
Well, I love Ash. Ever since the reinvention or whatever you call it, I have loved her. And I was kind of surprised she didn't win this match, to be quite honest. But I guess I understand why. But and of course I like Zaya as well. I mean, I like both of them. I like all the women in the women's division. I just it's like any chance I get to see the ladies fighting is a win. No matter who wins the match, it's a win for me because I love women's wrestling. And I think that I think that this was no exception. I thought they were both very good, but again, I was surprised. I really was. I was surprised that Ash didn't win this one. Maybe it was just because I really wanted her to, and she just didn't. So I was like, no. But I mean, good for her. Good for Zaya too. I mean, she's great too. So I was kind of on either of their side really. But I just love Ash. I love her look. I just love how she came in there, and it was just like, hi, how look at me. I'm so pretty. Like you are. You are so pretty. and now with the new wrestling gear, you're even prettier, girl. It's like no more frumpy frump because we don't want any of that.
I swear she listens to us.
Hey, if you do, I'll take an autograph picture. Thanks.
Yo, honestly, you can make Will's whole entire life. No,
Yes.
no line, Ash.
Seriously. Girl,
Well,
I'll hang you up like a pin up.
You know what? We'll talk afterwards because, spoiler alert, the East Coast boys plus myself are going to be going to New Jersey Wrestle Show.
I know you guys are.
Saturday, May 18th and Sunday 19th.
Lucky bitches.
And it just so happens that Miss Ash is going to be there. So I might get an autograph and send it your way.
Telling you, I'll hang it up like a pin up.
Honestly, that would be fantastic. Will is now going to reap the benefits of having a wrestling person as a friend because I'll put that on my list. I'm going to make sure I be like, get it for you.
Yay.
So now it's on the
Yay!
internet, so I need to complete
Yep.
it.
Yep.
So again,
Mm.
Zaya and Ash are now 1-on-1, so we're gonna get one more match down the line between these two, and I'm here for whatever it is.
I'm so
Obviously, I
excited.
love Zaya. I think Zaya should win, but I wouldn't be mad if Ash won either.
Yeah, me
This has
either.
been a really fun feud between these two, and I'm here for all the shenanigans. So we shall
Mhm.
see what the third match entails. So we cut to commercial, and then when we come back, we're backstage where Santino is ready, has counted the ballots in the box. So first and foremost, Santino's like, I smell riggery, and that's exactly what happened because there's like six. Literally, without saying it, Santino says there's 60 extra votes. We don't even have that many people on the roster. Like, how did this happen? So,
I
but
don't know how.
yeah, who knows what happened?
Who
But
knows?
Trey Miguel ends up getting the majority vote because he had like 60 plus extra votes to his name. And then Santino's just like, well, withstanding the, major boosts in votes for some reason, the other lead was Ace Austin. And so everybody starts fighting because Leon Slater points out it's like they stuffed the ballot box to him in his UK accent. I love that Leon Slater's aligning himself with ABC, and me and Andrew talked about this on Rebellion. I love that our newest, youngest UK signee for TNA is hanging out with a faction of the Bullet Club, which is Ace Austin and Chris Bay. But the Rascals and ABC and Slater get into argument. Ali states that, you know what, since this was unfair and unjust, that there should be no X Division Championship match at Under Siege. But Santino, being the best person that he is and our deputy of authority, sets it up that next week on technically the Go Home show for Under Siege, which is crazy to say because we just came off of Rebellion. Ace Austin and Trey Miguel will compete, and the winner of that match will go on to Under Siege to face Mustafa Ali for the X Division Championship at Under Siege. This was chaotic in the best way possible.
Right? I'm excited. I'm very excited. I can't wait. Literally, it's right around the corner.
Literally, and about this time next week, we will be reviewing the Go Home show. Well, also making predictions ? For Under Siege, which is going to be very interesting to see how that works out. Because we will be reviewing the Go Home show as Under Siege is going on the air. So we'll see. I love you, TNA, but I really hate these 2-week turnarounds between some of these pay-per-views. I get that we got to sell out and stuff like that, but dang, man, you're not making it easy, especially since we review all the pay-per-views for all the companies. But don't change, TNA. We love you.
Nope. Don't change. We love you.
So next, we get our 2-on-1 match with the Good Hands taking on our third character that I got to fill in Willowbooth about, which is Sami Callihan. So Sami Callihan is also a long-standing talent in TNA, though he's more a little recent, like given the last 5 or 6 years or so of TNA/Impact. Sami Callihan was part of one of the biggest moments of Impact's history up to that point, where he put his World TNA Championship on the line against a knockout talent by the name of Tessa Blanchard. So this was a man versus a woman, and Tessa Blanchard won that match and became the first ever female World TNA Impact champion. But then some shenanigans and tomfoolery and scandal happened, which made Tessa not be part of the company anymore. Check out our podcast episode to hear me explain the whole Tessa Blanchard storyline of how her poor behavior got her fired from Impact. It was wild. But Sami Callihan is a big staple of TNA and is huge with the crowd, especially since he is known as the Death Machine. And his whole thing is the thumbs up, thumbs down kind of thing. He's very crazy, and it is super fantastic.
I'm kind of here for it, though. I really kind of like this guy. And I love the fact that he was going up against two. I didn't, because I don't know him that well. I did some Google searching for actually all of them, the ones that I didn't know, and I got a lot of mostly exposition. I didn't really get a whole lot of who he was or who he is. So again, it's going to be one of those, I want to see him wrestle more, before I pass judgment or whatever you want to call it, however you want to call it. Yeah, I don't know, but and I know I thought it was a pretty good match. Actually, I really enjoyed it.
I did too. Obviously, this match had my favorite move of the whole entire night in which when Jason Hodge jumped over the top of the rope and Sam Callahan just punched him in the face as he was coming over the rope and knocked him out.
It's like, take that, you
So
bitch.
good.
Yeah, it was. It was a good match. I really enjoyed it.
It was. And Sammy Callahan pulls out the victory here. So Sammy is back in TNA from what I was able to find out. So I'm happy to see him back. Okay. So now I am intrigued with this next backstage segment because the enemy of my enemy is my best friend type of deal. Because we have Frankie Kazarian, recovering from his match against Josh Alexander. And Steve Macklin comes up and says he has a proposition for Frankie. Frankie has an issue with Eric Young. Macklin has an issue with Mike Santana, and Macklin figures that they can work together to take care of both of their problems. And Frankie, being the total turd, is like, nah, bro. It's just like, I don't trust you. You don't trust me. Why are we doing the song and dance? Macklin insists, and Frankie's like, no, we're good. And I'm sitting here in my head. I was like, oh, they're totally going to become a team. I was like, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when.
Yep. You know what? I don't think I would dislike that teaming.
Oh, neither would I.
Because after I was like, let me think about that. Would that, because sometimes they kind of put two folks together and you think, ugh, that didn't really work. I think those two might actually work together because they're both kind of underhanded when it comes to things. And honestly and truly, it reminds me, and going over to back to another thing, is the whole like Braun and Corbin team up. Kind of has that vibe to it, except less funny.
I mean, you're not wrong, but I am intrigued, and I'm like, oh, they're definitely going to become a thing. For how long? Who knows? But I'm still excited nonetheless. So we get the bumpers for next Thursday. So the matches that we are getting, Jordan will be defending her title against Miyu Yamashita. We have Mustafa Ali in action against Chris Bay, which I'm super excited for.
Yeah, me too.
Then we're getting our X Division #1 contender match between the sexy nerd himself, Trey Miguel, take Ace Austin, and the winner will go on to face Ali for the title at Under Siege, which makes me super excited.
Yeah.
And then they decided to unleash the floodgates because then we got announced a bunch of matches for Under Siege. They're like, hey, we know the pay-per-view is next week, so let's just throw half of these matches out, and we'll give you the other half of the matches next week. So we got, in a mixed tag team match, we have Jordan Grace and PCO taking on Steph DeLander and Khan. Beefy men, beefy women is all beef, prime time, all the time. I'm super excited for that. We are also getting The System versus Nick Nemeth and Speedball Mountain, which makes me super excited because we get to see Mike Bailey and Daddy Trent Seven on there.
Yummy.
Me and Will are gonna talk afterwards because I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this, but
I don't think the universe is ready for it.
Yeah, so we gotta have it offline. But we also get announced that also more beef, Hammerstone versus Jake something is gonna be happening in the Clash of the Titans. I was like, that ring is not ready.
I'm not ready.
And then they answered the question that me, Andrew, and Will had like for the last couple of weeks leading into Rebellion. Will they, won't they? But this was not announced for the pre-show. This is going to be on the main card from what I'm told. But we're having a Knockouts World Tag Team Championship match. Spitfire is going to be defending their titles against Alicia Edwards and Masha Slamovich. So I'm just like, I am happy to see this on the main. Obviously, me and Andrew already talked about how right now it's just those two plus Decay in our Knockouts Tag Team division. But I'm actually excited because it gives Alicia something to do, and it actually lets her get back in the ring for this one. Because last time we saw her in the ring was when she faced off against Trinity at Victory Road for the Knockouts Championship. So I'm excited for this. And then, of course, the other match that we're waiting for confirmation on is Ali will be defending his title. It's just a matter of it's going to be against Trey Miguel or Ace Austin, depending on who wins the match next week. I'm excited. And honestly, even though it's 2 weeks, a lot of these make sense to me.
No, they do.
Because, like, Jordan PCO and Stephen Khan is what happened at Rebellion. System and Nick Nemeth with Speedball Mountain makes sense because of Rebellion. Hammerstone and Jake is new, and we've only really had tonight's episode as a build-up, but I don't care because it's beefy boys doing beefy boy things. And I'm actually Now, even though this wasn't on this show, I am happy that our Knockouts tag team championships will be on the main card this time instead of the countdown show, which makes me super excited. And then, we get into our main event of the evening.
Mhm.
And for me personally, this was my match of the night.
Yeah.
Nick Nemeth versus Eddie Edwards. This was a good 15, 17-minute match. There was a lot of false finishes. It really
Mhm.
could have gone either way. But Nick Nemeth and Eddie Edwards brought the house down. They went at it. I'm so happy to see Nick be able to have these types of matches now that, he's out here exploring, the wonders of professional wrestling since he got let go from the other company. But ultimately, Nick Nemeth's gusto and his can-do attitude was not enough this match, as Eddie Edwards does pull out the victory here. So before we talk about all the fallout that happened and the digital exclusive breaking news that I have to share with everyone when we get to that point, how do we feel about our main event, the match itself, Will?
I really liked the match. It was my match of the night too. I thought it was probably the strongest match all episode. But and I'm really bummed that Nick didn't win. I'm really bummed about that. I'm just like, okay, fine. All right. See, I think this is where I was talking about earlier, but the system's getting on my nerves now because they're winning everything. And it's like, okay, all right, okay. And I mean, we all know Eddie, he's not a bad wrestler. He's good. And Nick is a great wrestler. And so, yeah, there was a lot of, it could have gone either way. It really could have, the way it was going. I was kind of hoping it would have gone to Nick because I'm trying to figure out why it needed to be Eddie that won the fight. I'm all like, why? Was there something going on that I missed? Because I missed Rebellion. I don't know if there was anything that I missed there or.
So, not necessarily, because the big thing was leading into Rebellion. Myers and Edwards were dealing with Speedball Mountain, so that was their main focus of the whole thing. They didn't really have an issue with Nick until this particular episode.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I didn't really. Okay, yeah, all right. But overall, it was my favorite match, even though I didn't understand why it was happening, other than the back talk they were giving each other earlier. But
yeah, at the beginning.
Yeah, I just don't know. I just was like, oh, okay. I loved the match though, because I really like Nick Nemeth. I didn't know anything about him, and you guys were all creaming your underwear over him, and I was just like, who is this dude? So I went and looked him up, and I was like, oh, okay, I see why. So,
gee, thanks, Will.
I shall join you in. I shall
kidding.
join you in the moistness of the underoos
Of the loins.
because he is quite the good wrestler, and he's not bad to look at either.
Yeah.
Just saying. I am a convert.
I love it when we can convert people to the cults
Yes.
of our favorite professional wrestlers. It's great.
Mhm.
That was the match itself. Now
Yeah.
let's talk about what happened afterwards.
This is why I don't like them. This is why I don't like the system. This thing that happens irritated the crap out of me.
All right. So before I let Will get his heated angel moment of the episode really quickly, so to kind of quickly go through what happened afterwards, the rest of the Moose comes out to celebrate with the entirety of the system. Then they begin to jump and beat up Nick Nemeth, and then they put a chair around Nick Nemeth's neck, and then they also run it into the post, which causes a neck issue, and I put that in air quotes because that definitely didn't really hurt his neck. Oh my gosh, he can't compete for a little bit. And yeah, Moose basically beat up Nick Nemeth, and so Nick is laying on the ground as the system celebrates. So I'm gonna talk about this because we get an exclusive from Twitter that kind of changes the landscape of one of the matches are under siege. But Will, go ahead and go off because this was cruel.
So, okay. Here's my thing. And this is the reason this moment was the reason I'm kind of over the system now. Because now they're just bullies. Because look at us, we have power, we have these championships, we have this, that. Now we're going to bully everybody. And if you stand against us, we're going to bully you down. And poor Nick Nemeth, my God, how many more times is he going to have to take a beating to the point? I mean, seriously. And it's like they have a vendetta against him. my God, Macklin has an issue with him. The system has an issue with him. I mean, it's like, give the boy a break. Jeez Louise. And then this whole, then I'm just like, because I had to go back. I had to go way back to when the system formed. And I'm looking at the people in the system, and I'm like, none of these people liked each other. I'm like, first of all, Eddie and his wife, Alicia, they were like murder hobos. Then you have Moose, who was just Moose. Like, and then you have, dang it, I keep forgetting his damn name. The fourth guy. What's his name?
The guy. You have Moose, Brian Myers, Eddie
Brian
Edwards.
Myers. That's who it is. Brian Myers. And I'm just like, and you guys aren't even a tag team anymore. I'm like, what is this? I don't know. And and then they're like, oh, we're the system. We run everything. And I'm just like, okay. And it's like, I get it. You wanted to introduce this new faction, and I love the faction. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a great faction. Yes, I'm getting tired of him always being on top. Like, give somebody else the chance. I think honestly, truly, I think it's time for Moose to lose that championship belt. I really do. And I don't know if they're setting this up for, Nick to come in and take that, which I would be totally here for, or what, because they are really beating him down. So something good has got to be coming from this. It has to.
Yeah, me and Andrew talked a little bit about it during our review for Rebellion. Shameless plug, go watch that video. No, honestly, if you want to get a quick recap of Rebellion, me and Andrew's review pretty much covers all the important bits. But me and Andrew got to talking about it because since Nick lost against Moose Clean, at that time we thought, okay, I think Nick is going to definitely win the title, but we're going to have to continue to build him up. So we said that maybe at Against All Odds or even Slammiversary is where Nick is going to get that championship off of Moose. Now, with that being said, with Josh coming back into the title picture, are we going to have Josh go against Moose, or will Josh go against Nick when he wins the title to set up that feud? Yo, Bound for Glory, Josh versus Nick Nemeth would be a ballin' match to have for your fourth and final Big Four pay-per-view of 2024. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I agree.
But because of what happened here, this definitely makes me think I think Nick is going to be the one to take the title off Moose. And I am still putting it on either at Against All Odds or at Slammiversary where Nick takes the title off of Moose.
Right.
You can't just beat up a babyface and then not get his lick back
I know.
later.
Exactly. So that's my issue. I'm just like...
Well, since we're talking about like babyfaces getting attacked, to break the news from a Twitter exclusive update from backstage, the TNA medical team has deemed Nick Nemeth not medically cleared to wrestle at Under Siege, though a new confidant, if you will, has stepped in to take up Nick Nemeth's mantle. So now at Under Siege, it is going to be the System versus Speedball Mountain, and replacing Nick Nemeth, Broken Matt Hardy.
Okay, that's fun.
I was also laughing because in this Twitter thing, Broken Matt Hardy was calling Trent Daddy 7. I was just like, I'm kind of here for it.
Oh my God. That gave me a tingle. It's like, hello.
Gird loins, kids. We'll talk afterwards. But that does bring us to the end of this week's TNA episode, Will. So, as always, we have to give our rating out of 10 empanadas. I'm going to go first. I think this was like a solid 7.5 out of 10 empanadas for me for TNA. I think an episode after Rebellion, there was a lot of solid stuff. Now, obviously, we have to build. We can't breathe for a little bit because we got to quickly build to Under Siege. We got 4 matches announced, and we're probably going to get more next week, as well as if there's going to be a countdown show too. And I got to catch up, Will, off camera of all the things that happen because we have a new digital media champion now, which is crazy to think of because me and Andrew got that one wrong. So I got to fill in Will on all the results that happened in Rebellion because I'm pretty sure that championship's going to be making an appearance maybe at Under Siege, but who knows. But I give this a 7.5. I thought this was a solid show. This was a lot of fun, but we can't breathe right now because we got to quickly build to Under Siege. Will, what is your empanada rating for this week's episode?
I gave it about a 7.75. Like I said, it was a pretty good episode. I thought there was a little more talking in the first half than there should have been. I just, there was a lot of talky, and I hate that. I hate that so much. When you could be doing some really good wrestling, there's some folks back there. Put them in a ring and let them fight. That was about it. I mean, I gave it a 7.75 because it was enjoyable. It was enjoyable. I think it was a bit. I don't know. Some of it was a little unnecessary, and dare I say, almost like a waste of time. But other than that, yeah. I like I like the episode. About a 7.75.
Sweet. Well, Will, it was nice to have you back for this one, and I'm excited to get you back now on a consistent basis.
Yep.
But me and Will are gonna get up on out of here because it's been a long day. But fret not, because the trio will be reunited next week's review.
Woo.
Funny enough, for the Go Home show before Under Siege 2, which is super fantastic. But for myself, Will, and Andrew, and the rest of the BC WrestlePop boys, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, stay Bi-Conic, and more importantly than anything, you always deserve to finish your story. Catch you next week for the next TNA review. But until then, ta-ta for now.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another Vibe Tribe production. What's gonna happen next time? Well, you're gonna have to tune in to find out. But until then, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, make sure that you keep the good times rolling. Thank you for being here, and we'll see you next time.